Hi, I'm Michael Jordan with AB Friendly Company in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and your basement brewing down at the underground meadery. Hey, we're gonna make one of our favorites. It's one of the favorites a lot of people we go to seminars with that really enjoy that. They like the aspect that you can sweeten it up towards the end if needed by adding it to lemonade or drinking it dry with a good high alcohol content. That's usually to go if you add a significant amount of honey to it. So this is a really cool one to make. We call it the summertime shanty, right? And it's about that time to make a good one. So if we get this one going, well, around mid of July, this will be about ready to go. Hopefully, it'll be something really nice to drink. Uh, it's made with lemons and oranges, and it's just a really good favorite one for me to drink. Drinking again. Had a lot of requests, so I'm just going to go and answer it right. We are going to make Papa's Island Dream. This is not Papa's Island Dream. This is made by Tim Kozak. This is his pina colada that he made. So we'll show. We won't show Papa's, but we're going to show a simple, easy pina colada one that you can make at home. It's super easy. But this one's made by Tim Kozak. This one's pretty good. Has some really interesting smells to it that I think are really cool. So we poured ourselves an 8-ounce glass of Tim's Pina Colada, and we're going to go ahead and make a summertime shandy. So let's get started with the ingredients. So the ingredients we're going to start off with is a half of a lemon. So just cut yourself a lemon in half, and always dissect your fruit or anything that if you haven't frozen where it's going to mash, into something small that fits in your jug. We're using some pretty wide mouth jugs that fits filters and stuff in them, so something to think about. So we're using a half a lemon. We're going to be using one full orange, right? So we've got all of our oranges all diced up here and ready to go. Uh, Super easy. We're going to be using 2.5 pounds of clover honey with this one. I think orange blossom honey would work good. Avocado honey would work good. Fireweed honey would work good with this. So I think there's a lot of different variants of honey to do this, as well as variances of fruit that you could use fruit juices. Go ahead and orange juice and lemon juice, or variants of different how many lemons, how many oranges, depending on the type of citrus you use and the amount of honey. I'm using 2.5 pounds to get around 10% alcohol. But I think that basically, if you would add 5 pounds of honey to this, and go ahead and add 2 oranges and one full lemon, I think you will have a phenomenal summertime shandy. It'll be very high in alcohol, very sweet. It'll be something that you can have in Georgia. So I think those are some things that would be really cool to have. We're going to be using the Red Star Premier Blanc Yellow Pack yeast. It's our go-to yeast. If you ever talk to Red Star Yeast, tell them AB Friendly Company in Cheyenne, Wyoming uses them at the underground meadery. Feel free to go ahead. Let's go ahead and look at the brewing equipment itself. All right, for brewing equipment, we're going to use a fermentation device, 1 gallon fermentation. As you can see, most of our jugs are pretty big mouth, right? And that's so we can stick fruit and adjuncts inside of it. We're going to need a hydrometer reading glass tube, maybe a loop, as well as the hydrometer itself. So that's something you're going to be needing. You're also going to need a thermometer to try to get your temperature, see if you can drop your yeast. You're going to need a knife to dice your fruit up, make everything going pretty good. You will need an airlock for your device. We'll be using a balloon. One thing good about a balloon, since we're adding this type of adjuncts, if they shoot out through our big gallon lip jug, the balloon catches them. And it's not all over my roof and ground and stuff from using a blubber unit or something that can bust and blow out. So that's something to think about. Always, I want to make sure, yeah, I have my scissors. Okay. You want to have a pair of scissors available, right? That way you can cut the tops off your yeast. And then you also want your recipe. The recipe says summertime shandy, half a lemon, 1 orange, 2.5 pounds of honey, Red Star Pure Blanc yeast, and water. The water we'll be using from a well, going through an osmosis machine. It'll make it so the water's so pure. If you want to use regular household water or water from a non-well or what we call city water, Go ahead and let it air out for about a week so that way you can use it in the contaminants such as chlorine or fluorides are decontaminated from it. I already have some water inside my coffee pot. We're using the famous coffee pot method where we just add some water through a coffee pot which will dissolve everything that we have. So let's go ahead and let's get started. All right, so we're going to add our honey first right off. Remember with our honey, if you've seen some other videos, you've probably seen us do an accident where the honey boiled over, right? So you dip your honey in, and as it comes out, pull up. That way it doesn't make the big blob here and it run over all of your jug. We almost had a huge accident once before because I wasn't paying attention. I was talking, and the honey overran the jug. Now, as you can see here, I'm squeezing a plastic bottle. One reason I like it is I'm able to get the honey out a little bit faster. But yeah, I'm able to kind of control like when the honey comes out so I don't have the big air bubble come out of my jug and then the honey running down the side of my jug. So I do like the big mouth jugs and I do like the big plastic honey bottles. I use the 2.5 pounds. So my measurements are usually a constant all the time. One reason for writing all your recipe. Remember, if you write down your recipe and you follow your recipe every time, any adjustments or adjuncts or sweeteners you do it to, you add it to your thing, you'll be just fine. So I want to make sure that you can see right that I got my honey. It's kind of rounded. If you put it down, put it at the edge of the jar and wipe it off and turn it, the honey stays in the jug and it doesn't go everywhere, which is pretty sweet. So right now, this would be a good time that I can go ahead and filter this out. I'm going to go ahead and pour the rest of my hot water in here. Remember to save your lids. One thing about plastic, if you squeeze the plastic, you're able to go ahead and twist it on. Give it a shake. You can see it expand, right? If you're using glassware or mason jars and stuff, one reason why I show the twist method and stuff to get off there is that if it's run out of the mason jar, you don't want to make a mess. If you're using that stuff to get the rest of the honey out, you're using some sort of hot water method to get it out or steam or, I don't know how the hell you're getting it out of there, right? It's your method. If you don't want to use the rest of the honey in there, that's up to you. But I usually get all the honey out of my jug. By doing this, be careful not to steam to blow anything on you. All right, so that's totally sweet. I like the aspect that I'm able to get that in there. Now I've got some hot water in there and I've got the honey out of the jug. I love adding my adjuncts now. So I usually add I'm using one full orange. You can see right, they fit right in really easy. So cut them so they're nice. And also, I cut the ends off your lemon and your orange, right? You cut that off and then you just cut it and dice it up, right? It makes it so it's so easy to get them in there. So I put in a half a lemon and one full orange in there. And this is a good time, right, to get the honey kind of everything. This helps break up the honey to mix with the amount of water I got in there. All right. I'm going to add a little bit of water in here to dissolve that honey. All right. So look at that, no honey. Super cool, right? All right, so we're just going to start filling this up. So you could we added 2.5 pounds. If you add 3 pounds of honey with this and everything we just did here and add it to a 7-Up later, it makes a carbonated summer drink. All right, so that usually works out pretty good as well. All right. We're all kind of tropical here today. Remember to leave about 1.5 to 2 inches of head space on your jug, and watch for the adjuncts to come out, right? Because one reason why I like the balloon. All right, so we've got everything mixed up. Let's take a specific gravity reading. Remember, fill your glass thing only 3/4 of the way up, because when we add the tube, it's going to rise. We don't overflow the device. So remember, for every pound of honey you add, you get about 5% alcohol. We added 2.5 pounds. We should be sitting at about 10 to 12%. Let's see what we're sitting at. All right, that's 1.65, 15.5%. So on our little thing, our starting gravity was 1.065. And then he said it's about 15.5% if all that ferments out. So we're going to put that on the side of our jug. Has our whole recipe, our starting date, and our specific gravity, what kind of alcohol we're looking at. We're going to go ahead and add our yeast. All right, this is going good. Now, I could have added my yeast to this and let it foam up and see if it made a good starter and then dump that in. But I've had a good dry with doing dry drop yeast instead of making a starter. But I've got that in here and I've got all that stuff. A good time to do the jostle. Yeah, baby. A little bit of the jostle. All right, so now I've got this in here. Let's go and get our temperature reading. Remember, I like my temperature around 68 to 78 degrees, depending on what the yeast says to use, climate, altitude that you're in. It's like baking bread. You need to see the right altitude for the yeast you use. There's many varieties of yeast you could use on this. You know, I just prefer this one. I like it so it really dries out and stuff, and then I like to add it to a couple different types of flavored ginger ales and stuff towards the day. So helps you define what you're doing with your drinking. People are like, well, how do you drink a lot of mead? Well, I blend it with a lot of stuff, and you know, it's one thing to drink an ounce of mead in a 2-liter bottle than it is to just drinking straight mead. So depends what I'm doing during the day and stuff, and what I like doing. So right here is a good mead that we're already going with. And our temperature is at 71 degrees. Sounds good to me, so we'll throw that back in there. It's between 68 and 78, so we're looking good. So we put our yeast in, our temperature was good, we got our specific gravity reading, we got everything on our jug. Let's put our airlock on. Remember, airlock could be anything from a hose going into a bucket to a bubbler unit. Me, I prefer this. So that way if those lemons and oranges decide to shoot out, they go into the balloon and not all over my house. So there you have it. Hopefully you enjoyed making our famous summertime shandy. Many variables, types of honey, amounts of fruit, different types of yeast. Super great things to use with it, and also works great as a blender. I'll tell you right now, when this ferments out, sometimes I like to just stick it in ice trays, let it turn into ice. Yes, the residual is a little higher alcohol content. Hard to drink because it's the acidity of citrus. But I tell you, the ice cubes are great to throw in a bourbon drink. Something to think about, expanding your variety of what you can do with meads and freezing them and isolating them down. So I just wanted to put that out for you, right? Something cool to make some cool flavored ice. All right, I'm Michael Jordan with the Underground Meadery from AB Friendly Company here in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Like, share, man, go ahead and subscribe to this. Hopefully, you get some more mead making tips. And just guess what? We just finished out another 8 ounces of mead.